Hey, what's going on, ATO? We are live again for Monday. Waiting on Rob. But, cool news. We have a venue and time settled down for the car show coming up this weekend. We're going to be doing it at the Ace Hardware in Minooka. If you're from Illinois, you'll know pretty much where that's at. Also, it's going to be at 5 or for military time. But so yeah, we're gonna be doing it out that way. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's happening? How we doing
Not
tonight?
not bad. I'm doing pretty good.
Good, good.
So, but yeah, I was just letting everybody know that we've finally hammered down a time and place for the
Yeah.
Boosttoberfest.
Boost Toberfest. I thought you'd like that. It's just, trying to get a little creative, trying to, get
when
some
I
people
first
interested.
when I first saw it, I thought it was Boo Toberfest. Like, October, scary, but and then you said
Yeah.
Boost Tober, and I'm like, oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I should have accented the word. A lot of people said it looked like boob tober, and I was like,
Well,
there's not even a second B in there.
whenever I've posted it, I said boost and then hyphen Tober. So,
Yeah, that works.
but yeah, it works. No, I'm excited for it. I've got
Oh,
some
it's gonna be a good time.
yeah, I've got a bunch of people saying that they're going to come out. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Awesome. I
Hopefully,
know I know there's quite a few people that have told me face to face and over the phone that they're coming.
mhm.
So I know that the link is out there. So if you guys make sure to share that to all your car groups, regardless if you can go or not, just sharing it helps us out a whole
Right,
lot.
definitely, definitely.
And yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'd like to remind everybody that doesn't know the area very well, but in that same parking lot, there's a really nice local bar and grill that's right there.
Oh,
So
is there?
there's,
Perfect. Awesome.
good spot to grab food and a couple drinks. And yeah, it's going to be a great time.
Yeah,
Tons of fun.
definitely, definitely. Yeah. Hopefully, we can continue doing this. Hopefully, we get to do this, every year.
Booztoberfest. I like it, Jeremiah. That's awesome.
Boosttoberfest.
It would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to do this, on an annual thing. So I'm really excited. Just remind everybody, if you show up, I got a sticker for you. So at the very least, you're getting a sticker,
I've
and
got
plus
I've
you get
got a
to hang out
stack
with
of
me and
them.
Marty.
I've got a stack of them as well. So, if you run out, I've got some.
Well, Roger that.
So yeah,
Be a
definitely.
good time.
Yeah, I mean, get the name out there, get some people talking about the group, get some more people talking to their friends about it, and let's see where we can
Yes.
get this thing going.
Oh, and I plan on having both my cars there.
Ooh.
Both my cars. So my
So,
DSM will be
well, I
running,
mean,
driving.
it's only like down the street from your house, isn't it?
Hey, don't jinx it, okay?
No, no,
Don't
I'm
jinx
just
it. Yes,
saying.
it's just down the street. Yes,
Okay,
it's
okay.
just down the street. But the DSM will have to drive itself there. I won't be towing it with the Fiat. That would be embarrassing.
That'd be cool. I can't wait to see that thing out of the garage.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing.
Because I mean, I I've only ever seen it in the garage.
Yeah, yeah. You weren't there the one day that it drove around,
Mm-mm.
and then Ken left and it blew up and it went right back in the garage. So
And you don't have any video of it, so I've never seen video or pictures of it. So
yeah, no, no. We were busy. We were hard at work. I wasn't. I didn't like at the time. I was like, yeah, I don't care if anybody gets to see this or not. I'm doing it and I'm loving it. And
right,
that was it. I
yeah.
did take a video of the car running before I started driving it, but I think
Oh
I
well.
deleted that post after it burned down. I think I just out of anger. I was like, nope, this is not staying up. So,
Okay, so I was thinking that since I'm moving, since I'm going to be heading up towards Illinois for the car show, um, and I've made that drive before. I was
hmm
thinking of mobile, like, emergency toolkits that you would keep in your car with you, or say like you're going to go over to your friend's house and work on something. What are like the have tools that you hurry up and grab and throw in your toolbox?
Okay, so a couple different questions there. First and foremost, I think if you're going anywhere in any vehicle, always have a set of jumper cables. Always. Just always have them. I couldn't tell you the amount of
Or a jump
times
box?
Yeah, or a jump box. But I can't tell you the amount of times I've either needed a set of jumper cables, or somebody else needed them, and not having them is just like, it just kills. Especially when you have them sitting in your garage.
Well,
You're
even
like,
even worse is when even worse is when you finally flag someone down that is willing to help you, and they're like, "Yeah, no problem, I'll give you a hand." And they're like, "Do you have jumper cables?" And neither one of you have jumper cables, and now you're
yeah,
just right back to square one.
yeah, that's fair one. Doesn't matter if he wants to help you or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's
jumper
although
cable
if you,
definitely.
yeah, jumper cables. But if you have at the very least a set of sockets on you, just a
Hmm.
basic set of like, you know, 8 millimeter through, I don't know, 15 millimeter, just
Yeah,
very
sounds about right.
basic kind of in the mile. Because if you get in that situation, you don't have a jumper cables, they don't have jumper cables, but you could swap batteries for a second so you can get your car started.
Right,
Set
right,
of
right.
ratchets will get you where you need to go.
Definitely, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I've dealt with cars with battery terminals as low as 8 mil, and then I've dealt with them as big as like 9/16 before. So I mean, it's
Yeah, it varies.
yeah,
It varies.
definitely, definitely. If you've got a set of, I mean, even a simple, just simple set of sockets would be perfect.
You have your entire toolbox in your truck right now?
That's
Oh,
crazy, but that's awesome.
well,
I
yeah, totally awesome.
I used to
Go
carry a
anywhere, do
bunch of
anything, man.
I used to carry a bunch of tools in my truck whenever I'd go somewhere, just because you never know what's going to happen. But
Right?
like the time that I drove down here from Chicago, it was -12 as a high when I left, and I got down to about the western side of Missouri, and I had all of a sudden I got this really nasty squeal, and it was making all sorts of bad noise and everything like that. And then I'm like, shoot, what the hell was that? Kind of getting pissed off. And then my battery light comes on, and I'm like, you son of a bitch!
Uh,
I lost the tensioner pulley on the front of the truck,
that, that'll do it.
and I didn't have any tools with me. I didn't have any parts, and it was 11:30 at night.
Oh, you're screwed.
So luckily, I made it to a truck stop. I sat there until 8 o'clock the next morning. They loaded my truck up on a flatbed and hauled me down the street, right down the street from. Do you guys, if anyone remembers this show from a hot minute ago, um, the Chrome Shop Mafia from Trick My Truck.
Oh, that sounds like a really niche market show right there.
It was on like CMT. It was basically these guys, instead of Pimp My Ride, they would take semis and rebuild them and make them all nice and awesome. But I was across the street from that shop. But so I ended up having that issue, and I if I would have had tools, I could have maybe found the part down the street or something like that and had myself
Right,
on the road. But
right.
so yeah, at least as long as you've got like a small set of sockets or wrenches, you should be pretty good for
Yeah.
most anything.
And if you're going to do wrenches instead of sockets, I would recommend having ratcheting wrenches because you never know when you're going to need that tight
Oh,
spot. You got, oh
mhm.
man, ratchet wrenches are like the greatest invention of all wrenches of all
Well, not
time.
only that,
Ratcheting wrenches.
but I like you said, tight spots. I had when I was working on the Nissan that I had,
Oh yeah.
the starter, the one bolt on the top of the starter, right there at the top of the bell housing. You could only get to it with a stubby wrench, and you could only turn it with
Mm-hmm.
like two fingers.
No.
So, and this is back before ratcheting wrenches were even.
Right, right. I remember those days. They were
And
dark
so
days.
you get it on there, you turn it, and then you have to pull it off, and then move it a little bit and get it just right, and then turn it again. I mean, it would take you almost an hour just to get that one bolt out.
Right, right. Oh god. And
I
I
mean,
can't tell.
I'm sure if I got underneath the car and put a bunch of extensions up there, I could have gotten it. But I was in my driveway. I wasn't going to be climbing underneath the car.
Yeah, no, there's definitely ways to get it stuff like that if you and man, but I couldn't tell you just about every small compact car, which is the vast majority of the cars I've ever owned are compact, and
Right.
the tight spots that you get into where, yeah, you're either turning a wrench, just an eighth, and then, spending more time trying to get it back on to turn it again. And you just,
Yeah.
oh God, when the ratcheting wrench came out, it was like
Oh
my
yeah.
whole life became easier.
Especially those really shallow degree ratcheting wrenches where they only take like one click. Because
Mm-hmm.
some of them take a bunch of clicks, like the ratchets.
Right.
If you don't get it right on that click, it'll you have to move it all the way around and kind of mess with it, and it's just as useless as a regular wrench then. But it's some of those ratcheting wrenches are definitely lifesavers.
Yeah. The more teeth, the better. If you're looking at ratcheting wrenches and you're like, what do I buy? The one with the most teeth on it. If there's one with 30 teeth and one with 50 teeth, you get the 50 tooth one. Because, like you said, you move it just that little bit, and it's just not enough to. The more teeth, the smaller of a turn you can make. So you can sit there
Yeah,
and tick, 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 and move that thing with almost no room.
it's true though. Yeah. What else would you normally throw in like a emergency self repair kit?
Yeah, if you're gonna do an emergency stuff, you always want to make sure you've got a jack. The scissor jacks inside your cars will be enough to change out your tire. Um, I know a lot of car guys out there like to get rid of their spare tire and their spare tire kit because race car, go faster, no weight in the back.
Yeah,
But actually, if you're driving every day, that's the stuff you need back there. Make sure you have a kit to change your tire. Um,
yeah, yeah. Sometimes
It
it's
can be.
true.
It can be. I've had cars where you've had to take the intake manifold off. It's easier than wasting your time trying to reach your arm back in there.
Yep.
But I was saying, oh yeah, your basic tire change removal kit. So making sure you have a tire iron, which is you know something that'll pry the hubcap off. You got hubcaps and twist the nuts off.
Hmm.
Always got to
Yep.
get them nuts off. And a small jack. Just change your tire. Um, Otherwise, emergency wise, there's a lot of really nice kits out there that come with, like emergency reflectors and flares and stuff like that. Stuff like that's really nice to have if you're going to be stuck on a dark highway,
Right, right.
just to make sure that people know that you're stranded there and they're not, I mean, I'm sure still people are going to blow past you, super fast, but at least they know that you're there and they're not going to,
Right.
accidentally swerve into you. Um, but also, I would say a first aid kit, your basic,
Mm,
bare bones, Band-Aids, gauze, you know,
true, true.
alcohol wipe,
Aspirin,
basic
stuff
first
like that,
aid kit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean,
For me, I think I would want, even like you said, some tire changing stuff, but maybe a small set of screwdrivers and some pliers because I mean, say you've got a hose that just popped off. Well, you can just,
yeah.
loosen it up and do that. I mean, yeah, you've got your ratchets and stuff like that, but sometimes those things are a pain in the ass to get to with a ratchet. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, basic set of
a
screwdrivers. Yeah,
couple a
absolutely.
couple of screwdrivers and maybe a couple of pliers so you can get stuff into there. Because some of those hose clamps are just a pain in the ass. Where it's just the two pieces of metal where you have to squeeze them together.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
careful with
You got
those
a set
ones
of
because those
pliers.
things.
Yeah. And if you don't have a set of pliers, those things are going. Those things are
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a flashlight is definitely going to be
Oh
a
yeah,
big
yeah.
help.
How did I forget about a flashlight? Always have to have a flashlight. And a
A flashlight will
multi-tool would never.
definitely.
A
Yeah,
multi-tool
yeah.
will get you out of some major pinches.
I,
I
I
couldn't
mean,
tell you how many
honestly, if you
multi-tools I've
want,
lost.
if you're wanting to save space, instead of having a couple, three or four screwdrivers and a pliers, if you just get a multi tool with a set of Phillips and flathead on it, that's
Yeah,
just as good. That's just as good. Yeah.
yeah. That'll get you out of a pinch. And sometimes, the little pliers on those or the smaller screwdriver stuff is just what you need to
Right. Right.
get yourself out of
Mhm.
trouble. Yeah. Yeah, no,
For sure.
definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
I found out. I found out. Duct tape and baling wire helps a lot too.
Oh yeah, that could if you if you find yourself breaking down quite a bit, yeah, some duct tape and some baling wire, that'll fix about anything right there.
Well, when I was doing hazmat, we were driving the trailer back from down south. I want to say Peoria or something like that, and we had about 150 miles to go back to the shop. And all of a sudden, the trailer just dropped on the passenger side wheels and just started burning rubber. I'm like, what? What the heck happened? So we stopped and we looked at it. One of the bolts from the shackle holding the springs up backed itself out. Luckily,
Oh,
it was
nice.
still there. Luckily, it was still there, but the nut was completely gone, and the end of the
Right.
bolt was chewed to shit. But we jacked it back up. We put the bolt back through. I wrapped baling wire around that to hold the bolt in place, and then I duct taped that to make sure that the bolt didn't like vibrate through the baling wire.
Right.
And we drove it 150 miles back home.
Hey, man, that'll do it. That'll do it. Yeah, I got myself out of some trouble. I had an old Honda Civic, and the exhaust pipe rusted in half. Right. So I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden I go from quiet little gas-saving Civic to Fast and Furious, bah! And it's just freaking out, and I can hear the exhaust pipe drag, and I'm like, oh man. So I make it to work, and I look underneath, and it is, instead of hanging down like this, it's hanging down like this. So the front of the pipe, like, dude, luckily I didn't catch that on anything. It would have ripped the whole exhaust system off of there. But yeah, just a baling wire, just wrapped it up to the
Right.
nearest
Well, like I
exhaust
mean,
hanger, and it was good to
um,
go.
imagine like you drop a U joint on your truck or something like that, or your car, and to be able to hold that drive shaft up instead of having it dangling and bouncing around on the ground. You can bail and wire that drive shaft up out of the way.
Right,
You
right.
know,
Well,
something.
good on you, Jeremiah. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear we got some guys out there stopping, willing to help people.
If you've got the room for some of this stuff, I mean, I've got
Yeah, I mean,
more power to you. I mean, I don't have. I've got room. I just don't have a lot of that room. Like if I had room for a generator and a little bit of a welder, I'd throw that on the truck too.
I wonder how the Fiat would handle a generator and a welder back there.
Well, it depends on how big.
Well, there's plenty of space back there. I don't know why everyone says there's no space. If you just fold the seats down, it's tons of space.
We could figure something out. I'm sure when I'm there, we could figure something out.
I actually need to use the back seats, so I got to haul the kids around. So,
So we're gonna put a trailer hitch on
no, please, no, no, I don't need the extra weight.
it. That reminds me. One of my buddies was like, "Hey man, he got a Prius," and we're like, "Hey man, are you gonna put wheels and tires on this thing?" He goes, "No, that's gonna cut my range in half." We're like, "Sorry." He's like, "I can't deal with that extra weight." We're like, "Oh, sorry, man, sorry."
Oh,
But yeah,
take it easy there, guy.
another thing that I like to have is those extending magnets because you never know when you're gonna drop
Oh
something.
my gosh, an extending magnet is like, dude, there's. I like going fit. Well, I don't like it because it usually ends up just happening. But I'll end up going fishing with an extendable magnet. You drop a bolt somewhere, and I'm not sure where that thing went. You just stick it down there.
Oh
You're
yeah,
just magnet fishing around. And all of a sudden, you hear
where
click. Oh, I got it.
I hate when
All
you drop something and you don't hear it hit the floor.
Oh, that's the worst.
Where
That's
did
the
that
worst.
go?
Yeah, where did it go?
That or when I was working on Dee's Titan. Um, so the way her intake is, it bolts down
You're
here
welcome.
and it goes up, a pretty decent height. And if you don't get those
Yeah,
if you
you
don't get
turn that
those
off.
bolts out, if you don't get those bolts out just right, they fall into the valley. Or as you're pulling it off, your 10 mil falls into that valley. So now you're screwed.
Mm,
And luckily for me, I had three 10 mils. I don't know how this happened, but I had three 10 mils because I was doing one and the extension fell off of my ratchet as I was pulling the bolt out, fell into the valley. Just, all right. And then I was trying to fish that one back out, couldn't get it because it kept just pushing it further back. And then I'm on the other side, and the same thing happens. Luckily, I was able to get the last two bolts out and pull the intake up and pull my sockets out. But if I had an extending magnet, I could have probably snagged those out in 2 or 3 minutes.
right. Yeah, no, the extending magnet, man. I've got two of them sitting up there right now. I've actually
Make
had to use one to get the other one out before.
Yeah, those
Tight spaces.
definitely can be a time saver, or
Yeah,
the little flexible little grip teeth or whatever you want to call it.
the
The little
flexible grip teeth.
yeah, you know,
Oh,
if
I know what you're talking about. Hang on, hang on. So everybody knows what Marty's talking.
I don't really have a name for it. I mean, what do you call it?
This little guy.
Yeah, yeah, little guys. Yeah,
I don't know. My Santa's little helper.
or
This thing. Hey, when I had
there.
to wire in all the different gauges and stuff that I did on this car, this thing was amazing. I'd stick it through the firewall and grab hold
Grab
of my
it.
wire and pull it
Yeah,
right back through.
that works definitely.
No
Yeah,
problem.
that's one of the things. That's a definitely good use for it. But yeah, so I mean, if you can't get some of those are longer than the extendable magnets. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you can get that thing down there and grip onto something and pull it back, you know, that's definitely something you're going to want to have.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I'm not sure what those things are called.
I really don't know
I
the
just
actual
always
names.
had one. I don't even remember buying it. I've just always had it.
Right.
It does remind me though of the movie. What was it? Total Recall, where Arnold Schwarzenegger sticks it up his nose and grabs a little thing, and it pulls all the way out, and he's going no the whole time. It's great, excellent movie.
The original, not the new one.
Yeah, yeah, the original. There's a new one.
Hmm. Yeah, with Colin Farrell.
Yeah, it's not Arnold, and it's not 1980s cheesy. I'm not watching it. I'm sorry.
No,
It's just
it's not
it's
bad.
not gonna happen.
It's not bad, but it's not the original. You know what I mean? So
All right. Speaking of new car movies, have you seen the new spin-off from Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw? Have you seen this?
no, I haven't.
So The Rock and Jason Statham did a movie. You know, it says Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Oh man, break out some nachos because it is a cheese fest. Whole lot of cheese going on, and and like I get that both the characters are from Fast and Furious, but they really did. There's only one scene in there that was Fast and Furious-y, where they linked up a bunch of trucks and they all hit their nitrous buttons and tried to save the world. I don't know. It was just a. It's like if you take like one of the cheesiest action movies you can think of from like the '80s, but then
Yeah.
and then give it like nowadays special effects. That's exact. I mean,
Honestly, you know what I would like to see is I would like to see Fast and Furious go back to its roots and
just back to
do
straight street racing.
yeah, all this saving the world. We're gonna take down a cartel kingpin. We're gonna you know we're gonna land a plane with these cars because it can't take off.
Right.
Whatever happened to just racing and saying, "Hey, my car's faster than yours"?
Right. Whatever happened to showing up and laying down your pink slip, man?
Yeah,
Putting in so much nitrous oxide you blew the intakes on or the welds on your intakes manifolds over there.
yeah,
You know,
and then
cool stuff.
the floor pan falls out
And no
for
one
no
knows
fucking
why.
reason.
Who cuts out the floor pan and rivets one in? I don't know, but it
Well,
was
not only
there
that,
and it fell out.
and not only that, but what does hitting nitrous have to do with your floor pan falling out?
He was going so fast, just so fast that those
So,
rivets couldn't hold it.
but yeah, I think if they went back to that, I mean, I think a lot more people would stop giving it shit and start actually like watching it again.
Yeah, they got away from cars. They got way far away from doing the car stuff, and it's just like, it's one of the things that I liked about Tokyo Drift. I know a lot of people hate that movie because it's a cheesy movie and it's got a bad, like it's got a not a bad, just a mediocre storyline at
Right.
best. Let's be honest. But they spent all their money on that movie on the cars, and you can tell it's all these different cars doing all these cool different things, and it's just cars.
Well,
Like the
that was
actors, you could take them or leave them. You could replace those actors with just about anybody except for Han's character. That's the only guy I would keep in there, and it would
right.
still be, still be a good movie because of the cars.
Well, that one they were still kind of racing related, you know, and not this
Right.
crazy like we're gonna take down the world
No, he was
plot.
street
Like
racing. He got in
they
trouble with the
were
mob. It
yeah
made sense. It
yeah
made sense.
it was still you know kind of grounded in reality, like something
Right.
that that could actually happen.
It could happen. I mean, it's
And
unlikely to
so
happen, but it could. It could happen. Yeah, definitely.
right, yeah. So I mean, like that was still kind of you know somewhat realistic, and then after a while you started getting into these ones where you're just like the
Yeah.
These guys were just robbing trucks that were hauling CD players and DVD players,
Right?
and now they're fighting mob cartels by themselves, and the
Yeah.
FBI is after them. I'm like, what the?
Right. Right. They're taking down drones in the middle of Los Angeles and nobody cares. Like, what's going on
Right?
here? It's just,
They're
yeah, it got way far away from cars.
not only that, but
Oh, now I'm way more
they're able to
crooked than I was
buy
before. Sorry.
they're able to buy millions of dollars worth of cars. All of a sudden, what's going on here?
Well, they got all that money from the heist in Rio Grande, Brazil, Rio, somewhere.
Wherever it
It was
was.
one of those places. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Fast and Furious took a weird turn.
Yeah, it did. But I
And
mean, like I said, if they went back to their roots, I think people would enjoy it. It'd be
yeah,
really it'd be really cool that they say that what they're going to be done at number 9 or whatever, or 10. I don't know. It'd be really cool if the last one was just kind of a retelling of the first story almost, and just regular straight up street racing.
yeah, yeah. Brought in maybe some just got rid of all the old characters. Brought in some young guys that were in some way vaguely related to the old guys, and I could see something like that.
That'd be
Maybe
cool.
you know, but yeah, who knows what they're gonna do? It's just been weird. It's just been weird, and now it's a cheesy action movie. So there's
That's
that.
not even that good of an action movie. Whatever. Anyway, um, but yeah, I
What were
mean,
you talking about?
well, we were talking about like emergency roadside kits and
Oh
stuff that
yes.
you're gonna bring. Like if you're one of your friends calls you up and says, "Hey, I'm working on my car. Bring some tools." What would you grab with you and run out there with?
It just popped in my head, so I was thinking about it. So my Fiat has a lifetime tow from Fiat. They because the Fiat is so small, they didn't put a spare tire. It's an optional thing. They didn't put a spare tire in there.
Really?
Right. So they just have free towing. Um, but they did include a tire inflation kit, which is just a nice little air pump, a little electric air pump. You plug it into the socket. Those
Mm-hmm.
are great to have. Even if you're not in an emergency and you just happen to be at the gas station and your low tire light comes on and you don't want to
Right.
pay $1.50 for air,
Well,
like you
that's
just
like
plug it in, fill up your tire real quick, good to go.
well, here's my deal of one of the reasons why I wanted to create this community of all terrain outlaws is when I was driving to Fort Riley the first time, I was driving Big Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Big Blue had a bum bright front passenger side tire. It would lose air as you're driving, and so I had to stop probably 3 or 4 times to throw air in that truck, just because the ball joints were bad, and so the inside of the tires were wore out so badly
Yeah.
that it just kept losing air, and
Right.
so it was one of those things of if I had one of those on the side of the road where I could just throw some air in the truck and keep going, it would have been awesome. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this big community. Say we've got one of our friends who's driving across country and they've got a tire go out, or their car breaks down or something happens. I'd love it to be able to have somebody get onto the site here and go, hey, I'm broke down outside of this town, and somebody's no more than 10 miles away and can
Right.
give them a hand.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so
Definitely.
that's one of the reasons why I was really big on trying to create this community network and get people in here. But yeah, definitely a small little tire inflator. I mean, those aren't very much
Oh,
very expensive, and they don't take up a bunch of room. It's going to
no,
take you a
no.
little bit of time to fill that tire up, but
Yeah, but it's better than not having air in the tire or having a flat, and it'll get you by. Especially you got a small nail in the tire or something. You got to pull over to so you don't ruin your whole tire.
mm-hmm.
They're great, and they make the different combo units with them now, where you can have like a jumper pack and a
Right.
air
Mm-hmm.
tire inflator. that type of thing. Those are really great to have. I mean,
Definitely.
make sure you charge those things up. You don't have
Yeah,
to jump
but
your
I
car
mean,
or something and not
but I
have it
mean,
charged. But
like you said, having a jumper box. I mean, how? I mean, when I was working, when I was working in Kansas, the work truck that I had would die if you let it sit for more than a half an hour with all of the stuff running. It was dead.
mm-hmm.
It wouldn't
Oh
start.
yeah, I bet.
And one of the guys had a jump box, and I'd call him up like probably 2 or 3 times a day. Hey man, truck's dead. Hey man, truck's dead. And we had 3 or 4 of the other guys doing the same thing until they finally got us upgraded batteries and you know, kind of changed a couple of things around on the trucks to where they didn't draw as
Right,
much power. But 3 or 4 times a day, hey man, truck's dead. Can you bring the jump box over?
right.
All the time, all the time. But yeah, definitely a jump box, tire inflator. I mean, because it might not be for you, it might be for somebody else. Somebody else might be running down the street, just need a little bit of air to, so they can get to the gas station to fill the car up the rest of the way,
Right.
or something. Or the thing that I hate the most, I I was helping somebody change a tire on the side of the road. We put their donut on. The donut had no air.
Oh yeah, that'll get you too. Yeah, because now you've spent all that time to change a tire so you could drive it, and bam, donut's flat. You're like, oh
Right,
come on, you
right,
know?
and it's like there, and you don't want to drive it on the donut to ruin the donut. So it's now you're back to square one where you've got a bad tire. So what do? Put the old tire back on and limp it to the nearest gas station so you can fill the donut up so you can put the donut on the car, or
Yeah,
or take that tire off, take the donut off, take the tire to get somebody to call them up to take you to a shop so you can get the tire taken care of. So it's just a pain in the ass. But if you've got a little air inflator, maybe you can take care of it,
yeah.
or even
And
fill up that.
mine's only about this big. It fits right under the driver's side seat. You never even know it's there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's just a
yeah.
quick, easy thing. Totally
That's
fine.
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome that they do that.
Yeah, I
Um,
was confused at first when they were like, I was looking for the spare tire, like, oh, there's no spare tire. And I was like, oh, okay. So what do I do if I run out? They're like, well, there's a can of Fix-A-Flat attached to the tire filler, and then you could just fill up the tire. Or there's a number on the inside of the glove box, free tow. They're like, done. Cool. Of course, if you get one of the non-performance ones, like, because mine is super performance-y, so it
right.
doesn't have the option for spare tire. If you get a non-performance one, you can opt for a spare tire.
Well,
But
since we found that one that's less than 5 grand, you could probably just buy a spare car.
yeah, I could. I could at this point, yeah. I'm thinking
And
about going
now,
around and buying them all up right now. So in 10 years from now, when you guys are like, oh man, the Fiats are so rare, I could just release one at a time.
yeah, there you go. There
I
you
don't
go.
flood the market, but I just make my money back one at a time.
There you go. I can dig it. Heck, that one YouTuber from Kansas I was telling you about, he just bought himself an Abarth. Probably he said it was the cheapest one that he's found. I think he said it was 4 or 5 grand, maybe. I think he said it was.
I think I may have seen this guy's video. Is it a black Barth?
No, it's a white one.
Oh, okay. I watched the one for the black one.
Yeah,
I saw
he
the headline.
he used to have a bunch of them, but now that he's got a white one now.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
said
he
he
buys
had
them
one
up
or
and
two of
fixes them
them
up.
before. Yeah, yeah. He what he does is he buys the cheapest of whatever in the country, and say it's a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini or something like that. He buys the cheapest one in the country, and then he brings it to his mechanic and shows you what the issues on it and reasons why it's the cheapest in the country.
Right.
And a lot of the times he loses his ass on the car.
Definitely happens. Definitely happens.
He went through a run through and he's like, I'm probably about 60 grand in the hole from this last year alone.
Oh, it's crazy.
But yeah, so yeah, definitely. So as we run down the whole thing, a nice set of wrenches and ratchets, or wrenches and sockets. Um, what else were we talking about? some
Jumper cables.
jumper cables, some screwdrivers, pliers, or a multi tool.
Yep.
Um,
Basic
a
tire changing kit.
right basic tire changing kit. Also, if you don't have that, a, an air pump, a small little air pump,
Yep.
and extending magnet
And a flashlight. Don't
and a
forget your
flashlight.
flashlight.
Definitely need a flashlight because there's some places where it gets dark out real bad.
Flashlight to save your life sometimes.
Oh yeah. Heck, I mean, even in the daytime, sometimes a flashlight is something that you're looking under the car. You're like, oh, I don't see anything wrong. You flip that flashlight on. You're like, oh, there's the issue. Just because you
Right.
couldn't see it because of the shadows and all that other shit. So definitely a flashlight is key. So anything else that you can think of?
Mm,
Because I mean, you don't want to bring a whole bunch of
right. You definitely want to keep it simple, right?
right.
I'd mentioned having a first aid kit, just your
Yeah,
standard basic
definitely.
band-aids, gauze, just and you know what the thing is like that little first aid kit, like you might never ever use it, but then the one day someone's got a bad cut or especially if you're out at the racetrack or you're out doing some off-road and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
someone gets
Oh yeah,
hurt and being Johnny on the spot with a first aid kit can really help out. I mean,
definitely. Yeah.
I've had to use it just for my kids at the park sometimes. Like we're just playing at the park,
Right.
kid
Oh yeah.
gets a
Well, I
nasty
mean,
cut or
you
something.
never know. You never know when you're gonna stumble upon an accident, and
That too.
you can help somebody out real quick with some gauze or this or that or the other, and you never know
Right.
what's gonna happen. Was it Freddie? I think it was. I think it was Freddie. They were driving down back roads in Manhattan, and they found this guy who fell off of his motorcycle into a ditch, and they were able to kind of patch him up a little bit and call an ambulance and get him to get some help. But if they
Yeah.
weren't driving down the street, who knows what could have
Yeah.
happened to him?
Right. That guy could have died. Especially if he
Yeah,
didn't have any supplies on him. He could have died while they were just calling the ambulance.
right. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a first aid kit is definitely key because you don't really think about that when you're driving down the street. Oh, hey, yeah,
No.
it'd be nice if I had a band-aid right now, or
Right.
or you go to work on something and you catch your hand or something, or you catch your finger and it won't stop bleeding.
Yeah. For
Well, if
no
you've got
reason.
a
Just
yeah, yeah, definitely, sure. Um, yeah, because like I was saying, if you don't want to have too much stuff because you don't want to just
yeah. You don't
load
want to
your
take up a lot
car.
of cargo space.
Yeah,
But
you
you
don't
can you
want to.
can get your basic set of stuff in a small container, small toolbox type thing, and you'll be all right.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, a lot of those little kits that you can get at your local hardware stores and um, they work or even at the auto parts store, they work out great. You got reflectors in there, you've got jumper cables in there,
Right.
or some type of battery pack or something. They usually have a flashlight, first aid kit. They a lot of times they'll even have safety vests and stuff, which can
Right.
actually be
Mm-hmm.
pretty big lifesavers if you're trying to change your tire on the side of the road and you got to bend down, on the side of the car where there's traffic passing you and stuff,
Right,
little
right.
safety cone type stuff. They put a lot of good stuff. Just I mean, honestly, just buy one of those little kits. If you don't have anything in your car, just buy one of those little kits just to have in your car, because
Oh
who
yeah.
knows what's. I mean, it doesn't matter if you've got an old car, you got a new car. You can never.
And that's the thing is, even if you don't know what you're doing, say somebody else stops to help you out. If you've got those tools, it's a lifesaver
Oh
because
yeah, can at least help you.
yeah, because I mean, there's been times where I've been driving somebody else's car and we go to stop and help somebody else out, and it's like I'd help you, but I don't have any of my tools.
Yeah. Right.
So if they've got a small little set of tools, it's going to be a lifesaver for everybody because you can help them out with their own tools.
Right. Right. And you know what? Sometimes you can get away with some cool stuff. Probably one of my best rescues that I've ever done. I had this guy, and we were in Wisconsin Dells. and we're
Mhm.
walking from our hotel room to the park, which is, we were right across the street. We just basically had to walk through the parking lot. And there's a young guy, and he's straight into the middle of the parking lot, and he's freaking out. He can't get his Jeep to start. It was a Jeep Grand Cherokee, one of the boxy style ones. I don't know the years of those things. It's a
Okay.
boxier style one, and he can't get it started for the life of him. And I see him freaking out. So I'm like, hey man, you all right? He's like, I can't get my Jeep started. I can't get home. I got to get to work. The blah blah blah. And so I'm like, well, let me, I'm a mechanic. Let me see what we could do here. And he had an alarm system or something that was keeping him locked out, right? And I was like,
Okay.
dude, there's not a whole lot I could do, except that those Jeeps, the way the engine is and where the starter is, I could see the starter, and I was like, you know what? If you happen to have a pair of jumper cables, I might get this started. And he did. Thank God he had some jumper cables on him. So I jumpered from the jumper, from the battery. I jumped it, and then I just jumpered power straight to the starter. Started
Right.
that son of a bitch right up. Boom! I was like, done, got it. He was like, oh man, is it working now? I'm like, do not turn your Jeep off until you get it to where it's getting
Go
fixed.
go straight home.
Just go home, go to the shop, go straight there, because as soon as you turn it off, you're going to be locked out again. Okay.
Right, right,
But
right.
that was one of my a personal favorite rescue of mine. Like I felt like a freaking genius for the whole day.
One of my favorites that I had was Coffin and I were out in this place called Tuttle Creek out by Fort Riley, and we were off road and we were having a good time. And he had his '79 Bronco, and he comes rolling through, and all of a sudden his throttle just goes wide open, and but the truck's not going anywhere. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? He goes, it's in park. So we shut his truck off. The the return spring on his throttle broke off, just
Oh,
shattered,
nice. Yeah,
gone.
it's just done.
And I'm looking around and I'm like, wait a second. I have a pair of bungee cords in the truck. Do you think that might work? So we stuck a little bungee cord onto his truck and we had him crank it over and we're all standing there making sure nothing's gonna go crazy, and he tested it out and we drove for the rest of the day, and then he drove it home and we got him, and then I think he before he even got it fixed, he ended up trading the truck for something else. But it worked for a while. But that was
Yeah,
one of my favorite trail fixes where, his truck was pretty much dead in the water unless we got that fixed.
yeah.
So it was fun. It was a good time.
Oh, it's always fun. It's always fun when you get creative and you're able to get something done and get yourself somewhere. So, a long time ago, I was driving this DSM here behind me, and I'm driving home from the auto show. I'm just cruising. I'm taking it easy, and this guy just keeps tailgating me, getting alongside me, trying to get me to race, trying to get me to race. And I'm like, no, no, no. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. And so I gun it, and we take off, and I'm banging through gears, and I go from third to go into fourth, and there's nothing. Like it just, and I'm but pumping the clutch, and I'm pumping the clutch, and it won't nothing. It won't go. So I pull over, like, what's going on? And it's just the clutch just was gone. It was done. So, I mean, I did what anybody would do. I shut it off. I put it in gear, and I could just pump the clutch just enough to let the car start without it bogging forward, and just rev the shit out of it, and just got it home.
Yeah, I mean
And
sometimes just getting it home is a
that's what
win.
counts sometimes. That's what counts sometimes. So like I would
Yeah.
to change gear, I would turn the car off, put it in a new gear, turn the car back on, and it would just and go and start itself back up and keep going.
Yeah.
It was an interesting ride home, but it worked.
That's like, okay, Dee's truck when her starter went out. Basically what happened was the starter, you know how it kicks the gear out and engages the flywheel and starts the engine,
Right.
right? Well, what was going on was it would that gear would spin, but it wouldn't kick it out to engage the flywheel. It would just spin in place.
Right.
Well, okay, no big deal. I'll just hit it with a hammer, right?
Yeah. Try the hammer hit. Always worth a try.
Except it's in the intake valley and I can't get a hammer in
Ah,
there.
no, you cannot. Nope, you're screwed.
We are 4 miles from the house, and it's been doing it. It did it a couple of times. We're 4 miles from the house. We're getting something to eat, and it does it again. It's like 5 degrees outside.
Oh,
And I was so pissed because I can't do anything about it. I mean, I don't have any tools with me. She didn't have any of the tools in the truck. I didn't have anything to deal with it. I had to call a tow truck to get it towed 4 miles back to the house. I'm like,
Ugh, that's
uh,
the worst.
that's the biggest like kick in the teeth ever. Like, you know what you do, you know what you need to do, you know you can get it done, and you have to call the tow truck. It's like, but finally we got it taken apart and taken care of. And I had the same issue with my truck. I got a new starter for it, and the starter was weak. Like, it would
Hmm.
it would engage the flywheel, but it wouldn't crank.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would work perfectly fine, no issues. But if it was cold outside, it would hit that flywheel and just stop. I was like, what the hell? Finally, I got it replaced. At the parts store was like, oh well, we tested it, it works. Right, on your bench test with no restriction whatsoever. Put it on an engine and it won't work. I guarantee you. Oh well, it works, so we can't return it, dude. It doesn't work. I don't know how many times I have to tell you it doesn't work.
So they end up returning it for you, or no?
Oh yeah, finally I got it returned, and haven't had an issue with it since. But
There you go.
it was it was one of those, dude. It's got a warranty. Just warranty the part out. I don't want to
Right?
deal with it.
I'm surprised
Why
they
would?
gave you grief. Most of the time, the auto parts stores are just like, yeah, sure, whatever. We don't
Well,
care.
they
Just bring
they
it in.
went they
We
went
got
back
you.
and bench tested it because I was trying to get my warranty on it.
Right.
And they went to go bench test it, and they're like, "Sir, it works fine. We've tested it 6 times." I'm like, I understand that, but there's no restriction on it. I guarantee you put your hand on it, it won't turn. He's like, well, we can't return it if it doesn't have any issues. If it works, I'm like, sir, why would I be bringing it to you if it worked fine?
Right? And it's not like you're trying to get your money back. You're just trying to get another part.
Right. I'm
So like,
just trying to straight across the board swap it out,
oh,
and it was still brand new
sometimes
looking.
parts
It
stores.
was it was like a month old.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done. Whatever. I ended up getting stranded. The reason why I swapped it out is I ended up getting stranded about an hour from the house
Hmm.
in a snowstorm.
In a snowstorm. Oh,
I,
yeah,
I,
I've done some really random repairs on the side of the road myself. I had the old Plymouth Laser, and
ooh,
I was what's the town past Morris? I was way out east, or west,
uh,
I guess. I was out west past Morris,
Ottawa,
and
Marseilles.
y yeah, I think Marseilles is correct. I think that's where I was at. It might have been Ottawa. It was one of those two, but I was way out there, and the fuel pump just died. Like, I'm driving the car and just I'm
Mm.
like, okay, and it's cranking and it's fine, and I've got fuel and nothing's happening, and I finally am listening like, oh yeah, there's no fuel pump running. That's yeah, okay, it's dead.
We're done. We're done.
So I'm like, damn it, dude, I'm stuck out here. There's no way I can get a tow right now. And there happened to be a Napa auto parts store a couple blocks back, and I was like, I guess I'll see if just maybe perhaps. And so yeah, I had a jack, so I was okay there. I bought a ratchet and and an extension, and the socket that I needed, and a fuel pump. And I dropped it. I mean, the tank has two straps, so I jacked it up. I dropped that tank on the side of the road, unbolted that son of a jerk, put the new one in. Bam, good to go.
Good to go. Yeah, I
Dude, I
mean,
spent like 5 hours on the side of the road putting this fuel pump together. Spilled gas all over myself because I got no way to drain the tank. Oh, it was an experience. Yeah, don't
but
do it if you don't have to.
you got home on your own. You
I
didn't,
did.
you know, and I don't know if people know this, but tows on the side of the highway are expensive. If you
And
think
a
a
lot of
regular,
times,
if you think a
yeah,
regular tow is expensive, get towed off the side of the highway. See what happens.
yeah, side of the highway is expensive. And then also, a lot of the times, the tow truck drivers are instructed to bring it back to the shop that they're, been, from, or, whatever the nearest shop is that your insurance company is going to, cover. And so you
Right.
don't get a choice sometimes. You get towed to a super expensive shop on top of paying for an expensive tow. Now you have an
Right.
expensive shop to deal with, and you can't get your car out of there because that's the shop they took your car to. We could do pay for another tow to go to another shop, so now it's even more expensive. Yeah,
Right.
getting yourself out of a situation is great. No, it really
Exactly.
is.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, heck, if you can get onto All Terrain Outlaws and talk to somebody and have them explain to you and walk you through the process, that's
Right.
that's that's perfect.
Yeah. Never be afraid to post your questions, or if you need help, never be afraid to post it right here on All Terrain Outlaws. Yeah, we've got a great group of guys and girls that are knowledgeable
Hmm.
about vehicles,
Yeah.
do-it-yourselfer type guys, and
And like I said, I want people who've never turned a wrench in their life to be able to come on here and get a little bit of knowledge and maybe get the confidence to do some stuff themselves to save that $400 labor cost, or be able to do something for $15 instead of going to the shop and having it done for 100.
right. And
You know?
this is one of the few places where you can actually post a real question without people just ragging on you because you didn't know something. Like, which is the
Right.
dumbest thing I've ever seen, like, in the car community of, oh, you don't know this? Like,
Yeah.
no,
Oh
that
yeah.
person doesn't know it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, just tell them the answer so then they know it, right? You don't have
And
to
it's
act all high and mighty.
and it's one of those things of, dude, you were in the same spot when you were their age. Why are you giving them crap?
Right. Someone taught you how to do it. This person
Hmm.
didn't have anybody to teach them. They're asking for help. What?
Right.
And it just bugs the crap out of me. And especially when people have like just simple questions, or like, they have a question just based on curiosity. Like, hey guys, one of the ones that I will stick with me forever is some guy was like, hey guys, has anybody ever seen a Honda engine swapped into a DSM? Like, has anybody ever seen it? Has it ever been done before?
Hmm.
And everyone's like, "Oh, why would you do that? That's so stupid. What a dumbass question. Why are you even on here? And it's making fun of the guy. Like, he just was curious. And like, no,
I was
a
wondering
simple
if it could be
no.
done.
I don't think anybody's ever done a Honda swap because everyone's concentrated on the 4G63. But
Right.
like, it doesn't mean that maybe you've got a 1.8 liter DSM and you don't have any 4G63s in the neighborhood, but hey, down the street there's a Honda K series engine and you could get for real cheap.
Yeah.
You never know, and it's just a simple question. Why rag on the person for asking? They weren't saying like, hey, how do I do this, or you guys should all do Honda swaps on your Eclipses because Honda motors are better. He was just curious.
There was
Like, and
a
this is the place for those type of questions.
there was a guy not too long ago on one of the other groups that I'm following, that he basically his engine was crap, but he was able to find another truck that was really beat up with a great engine, great running engine, and he's like, how hard is it for me to cab swap all of my stuff over onto this other truck? And
Right,
they're like, what? They're like, why in the hell would you do that? It's like, well, it's gonna be easier than swapping the engine over, or
right,
doing this or doing this. And he goes, well, I mean, how hard is it? One person out of like 30 people was like, oh man, it's really easy. You just do this, 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 and this, and you're basically done.
right.
Because if your truck already has that, because I think he had a gas engine and he wanted to put the diesel in it, so he was just going to swap it over onto the diesel. And he's like, well, a lot of that stuff's plug and play. You're going to have to rewire this or that. You're going to put new connections on for this, but for the most part, yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah,
Everybody else was like, why in the hell? Blah, blah, blah. Why don't you just buy the truck? Like,
right.
but I like my truck. I've done
Yeah,
work to
that's
my
one of
truck.
the things that, like, a lot of people don't understand. Like, I like my vehicle. That's why. Like, well, why don't you just buy a faster one? Why don't you just buy a better one? Like, why don't you just shut up? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I've
like,
I've
seriously,
had this car for
there's
a
not
while. I
right.
just want to see what I can do with it.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh
dude,
yeah.
that kind of stuff always just gets me. Just always gets me. I mean, like when I was doing my headlight swap, I don't know how many different answers I got of people that have never actually done it, people that took a really long way of doing it, people that took shortcuts to doing it, and nobody like with an actual like advice. Just people telling me, "Oh yeah, it's easy. Oh no, it's hard. Oh, why would you do that? Just buy one that has this." Like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
gonna do that.
why? why buy one? Why go out and spend the extra, however much these cars are going for, so I can get a car with pop up headlights when I can just put them on my car.
Right. Right. And then a lot of people don't understand either. Like, these are the parts that I got. Like, it's not, there wasn't a like, hey guys, it would be cool. Like, okay, there was that, like, hey, it'd be cool to put pop-ups on it because I love the pop-ups. But it was like a, hey, these are the parts that are available right now for really cheap. And if I buy them all together with the engine, the transmission, everything, I'm going to save myself a ton of money. And so
Right.
that's what I went with. That's what I went with. That's what I did. It wasn't a, you know, it wasn't
Exactly.
like, well, like, I'm not going to buy those ones because I'm going to wait for the solid headlight car. Like, no, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it because this guy says it's hard and that guy says it's easy, so it's got to be somewhere in between, which is
Right.
exactly what it was. It was somewhere in between.
Yeah, and I mean, and now that you've done it, you can help other people out with it. That's and
Right.
and there's always somebody who has experience on that could save you hours of headaches because now they can come up to you and say, "Hey, this is what you really need to do.
Right.
This, and this." Instead of all of the Facebook mechanics where they're like, "Oh, well, I think it's this." And that's another thing that annoys me about Facebook groups. A lot of Facebook groups. Somebody asks a question like, "Hey, my car is doing this. What should I look for?" And then you never find out what the issue was.
Right.
It's like,
And you never find out if it was ever fixed. You never find out
right.
what solution worked for them. Yeah.
And
So
then
that's
and then
that's one of the worst.
and then the people in the group are like, "Oh, people have asked this 100 times already.
Yeah.
Use the
Yeah.
search bar." And it's like, okay, I've used the search bar. There's been 100 different answers for it, and I don't know which one was the correct one, or
Right.
if any of them
No one
were.
ever said which one was right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things is if you ask for help, please please tell us the answer of what happened to your car
Right.
if it
Make
fixed it
sure
or
you
if it
come back later on. Yeah, definitely. And let you know, yeah, this worked for me. No, it didn't work. Let us know. This is what I found out. This is how I worked through it.
Mhm.
Because that way we can say, hey, use the search bar. And someone can be like, oh, here's the actual post. And this is the guy that did it. And here's the right answer. Yeah,
Right,
no, definitely. Because
because
yeah, you definitely want to avoid that whole, like, hey, man, someone's asked this already. Like, yeah, but if you gave the right answer and it was posted how it was resolved, then I wouldn't have to ask the same dang question.
exactly, like I had a problem with Snowflake. I drove it one night, no problems whatsoever, parked it. D went to go use it the next day, nothing. Wouldn't turn over, wouldn't do anything. All the lights on the dashboard lit up, everything lit up. It wasn't a problem with the battery. And I'm like, what's the issue here? Because I mean, it was fine before. It didn't show any. The starter never showed any kind of failing or anything like that. Just nothing. And I
Right.
went on to one of these groups and I was talking to them. They're like, "Oh, well, you need to do this, or you need to do this, or you need to do this." And one guy's like, "This has been asked 5 times already. You should follow one of those groups." And I was looking at them like, nobody ever said the answer. They always said it was loose connections. Well, there's not loose connections because I've checked all that. Oh, they said the battery was bad. Well, the batteries are fine because I put them in a month ago. You know, well, what's the issues? I found out. I ended up having to do a bunch of searching, and it was just the starter was dead. The starter just quit, and it didn't give any
No
symptoms.
warning, huh?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
warnings, no nothing. I went and swapped it out and started right back up like nothing. But it was you turn it on, like you go to turn the truck on, and all the lights will turn on, everything like that, and then you turn the key and everything dies.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that was because I've never had that issue. Sure enough, it was the starter, but nobody, it took me like 5 hours of searching and hunting things down to finally find out the correct answer instead of
Right.
just throwing money at it.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. I had a weird issue just recent. So I'm putting this thing back together, right? And I'm putting my interior pieces all back in. I get everything back in. And like, oh, it's all together inside. It's all nice. And I sit down in the driver's seat and I set my foot on the brake and the dashboard lights up and that buzzer noise when you leave your key in, that turns on. I was like, what the hell? what is going on? I
What
take
do
my
you
foot off and
do?
I'm like, okay, what did I do here? Because clearly, like, this was not happening before. And so then, like, I tested everything. All the other things work, but when you put your foot on the brake, the dashboard lights up and it goes bzzz, like I left the key in. I'm like, what in the hell? And so, like, I started to panic, like, okay, when I put the interior piece together, did I knock some wires loose? Like, what
Right.
could I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Before I panic, I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to check the fuses. Sure enough, the fusible link off the battery, there's a 20, here it is right here, actually. It's this little weird guy, which I got to go get one tomorrow. And I mean, look, it's a 25-year-old fuse. Eventually it was going to blow up. So,
Right. Right. Right.
so this little guy took a crap on me, and it turns out that when he's not in there, the ground wires run all together because the power wire is not running through here, so everything's running to ground, and it just grounds
Oh,
everything out when you hit the brake pedal. It's just a weird thing. You would never know that this was the issue, and it would really freak you out.
well,
You
not only
had
that,
no idea.
but I mean, hunting down wiring issues is such a fucking nightmare. And
I could tell you all about those.
that's what I'm saying. And you never, I mean, with you doing all this other, if it was just you driving down the street, no big deal, and then all of a sudden it's happening, it's you can get to that answer a little bit easier than with you doing all this different wiring back and forth, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, so did it work before I worked on this? Okay,
Right.
yes. Did it work?
Yes.
Did I work after I worked on this? Yes. Okay. So then you're running down this entire list of stuff that you've just done to the car. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, no, because so that happened, and then also my battery gauge, which is just hooked into the regular power for the car, wasn't working. That was reading 0 volts, which clearly I had plenty of voltage, and then my Apexi piggyback tuner also wasn't powering up, and I was like, oh no, like I definitely clipped a wire, but I totally forgot. Like you said, I went down the list. Did it work before I did this? Yes. Did it work before I did that? Yes. And then I was like, did it work? Because one of the things that happened, so I was making that battery tie down, which I still can't finish because my drill's dead.
my
But I was
drill.
working on that, and when I did that, I nicked the wire that goes to the fuel cut switch, and it grounded itself out in the car, and it burnt that wire. I had to pull that whole wire and replace it. And I was like, did it work before I worked on that? Yes, but I didn't check it after I worked on it, did I? No. Okay. And so I was like, okay, there's something going on here. Hopefully I didn't burn out, and it's a fuse. I burnt out a fuse. It ran through the power through the ground and burnt that thing out, and now it's doing all kinds of weird things.
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
little guy right here, no,
That's like
just
that 78 F-150 I had. We were I don't know who did this, but whoever had the truck previously, instead of putting a red and black battery cable on there, it just had two black cables.
no, no.
We took the battery out I think we took the battery out to start somebody else's truck with it. And then we went to go put it back in. We put it in backwards. It fried out something and the truck wouldn't start at all.
Yeah.
Well, we went and did this. We checked this. We checked this. We checked this. I couldn't find anything. I could not find a single thing. We checked to see if the starter burnt out. We checked to see if the wires were melted. We checked to see this. I went and I had to move it out of the parking lot because Sergeant Major was going to have me towed. But so we moved it to a buddy's house, and I'm like, hey man, since it's going to be at your house, you mind doing me a favor and figuring out what the hell the issue is on this? And I told him what was going on. And probably about a week later, he's like, I found your issue. It melted the wire at the connection point to the starter solenoid.
Oh, nice.
And it broke free, but it wasn't completely broken free. So it sat there and it looked like it was still connected, but it was completely broken free. And he just rewired it up real quick and had no problems. But if you would have
Oh
told that
man.
to somebody, they would have been like, "Oh, it was this, or it was the starter solenoid, or it's
Yeah.
it's this, or you've fried your entire electrical system. You got to rewire the truck." It's like that's it. Literally cost me nothing to fix the truck.
Right. Right.
So You know,
And if
little
you're going to
things
do
like that.
wiring, make sure you label that stuff.
Mm, yeah,
Label your
definitely.
wires,
Yeah,
especially if you're running all the same color.
or yeah, if you're going to replace a positive terminal, positive battery cable, make sure it's the correct color,
Yes. Battery
or at
cables
least
specifically, you got to have some kind of marking on it to let you
yeah,
know which one's the right
at
one.
least yeah, if you're not going to make it the correct color, at least mark it.
Yeah, at the very least. Just
So, but yeah, definitely. I think that
oh,
was a good conversation so far.
yeah, I think we did pretty well.
I'm
Oh, I'm excited to see you, Marty. I'm excited to
Yeah,
see you.
definitely. Less than a
And
week.
yeah, and if you guys can't make it out to the car show, make sure you're subscribed here to the All Terrain Outlaws Facebook page. We'll be going live at the car meet. We'll definitely be going live for a little bit. You'll get
Yeah,
snippets through our Instagrams and on the YouTubes and here on Facebook. So make sure
for
you
sure.
follow us on all the social medias.
Exactly. Yeah. Me and Rob are gonna be doing a couple of things while I'm up there. Hopefully, getting some stuff filmed out and doing some cool stuff. So
Absolutely.
keep an eye out for all that stuff. We're gonna be working on some stuff. I think you said you're gonna tear down that the burnt crispy motor.
Yeah, yeah, we might have to tear into it, man. It's been sitting here, and once this car is running and going, I don't see any more reason that I really have to sit here and stare at this burnt ass thing. Like let's tear it down, let's junk it, but let's find out what broke.
Yeah. I mean, heck, you never know. You might have some salvageable parts off of it. So
There may be, the cylinder head might still be good, which would be awesome to have a spare cylinder head. I could send that out, get it worked, get some nice, fat cams in there and some
yeah,
big
yeah,
valve work done or something,
yeah. Maybe
all the while this thing's still running.
maybe down the road when you decide to up the power to it, you can have that head all ready to go. So
Yep. That'd be awesome. That'd be
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. So like Rob said, check us out. Keep an eye on it. Share us out with your friends. I mean, that's the biggest thing for us right now is we to get the word out. I mean, if you're enjoying what we're doing, tell your friends, tell everybody about it, get them to come over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Make sure you guys, subscribe to all our different pages. If you miss the live streams and you have trouble finding them, uh, I always try and post them up on the YouTube also. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Usually
definitely.
Wednesdays or so you'll usually get that.
Wednesday,
So yeah, you get
definitely.
your Monday nights by Wednesday. It depends. We did have that one technical issue day, and a video couldn't get uploaded, but I got last couple ones uploaded, so you you
Works.
you get them. It's just not
Yeah.
on time. You get them eventually.
Hey, it's okay. But yeah, definitely. I'll catch you this weekend, and I'll catch everybody else on Monday.
All right, man.
All right.
Until next time, guys.
Peace.